Good morning. I'm EZRAH, here to walk you through today's burning issues and the biggest stories. This is the Manila Times. In President Marcos' visit to Washington, the U.S. and the Philippines have adopted new bilateral defense guidelines, which intends to enhance alliance cooperation between the two countries, not only across land, sea, air, but also space and cyberspace. The new guidelines is an upgrade from the 1951 Defense Treaty of the United States and the Philippines. The new cooperation has included any conflict in the South China Sea, even gray zone tactics, including any provocation towards the Philippine Coast Guard. Several lawmakers expressed their concern on the bilateral defense guidelines. Joining us now is ACT Teachers Part List Representative, one of the hardest working legislator in the country, Congresswoman Franz Castro. Good morning, ma'am, and welcome to the Manila Times. Ma'am, in a recent forum, you said the U.S., and I quote, the U.S. is exploiting the strategic location of the Philippines to advance their own geopolitical agenda to the detriment of the Filipino people. So sinabi niyo rin po in that forum, and in the past we've also filed diplomatic protests and have continually have patrols along the area. So how should the present administration handle the issue in the West Philippine Sea?
We've been protesting diplomatically with the China incursion in the West Philippine Sea and even in our exclusive economic zone. So I think that is not very useful or very effective in preventing the China to do so. So first of all, our position is to demilitarize. First of all, demilitarize the South China Sea or the West Philippine Sea. Even U.S. incursion or China incursion. Yung mga sinasuggest namin, so of course, number one is to increase the Coast Guard, the Philippine Coast Guard patrols in the West Philippine Sea, especially in our EEZ, and coordinate also with the other countries that have interest also with the West Philippine Sea, particularly the Vietnam, Malaysia, Taiwan, Indonesia, and I think there was in the Duterte administration what we call the Code of Conduct in the West Philippine Sea. It's high time that the Philippines, the administration of Marcos Jr. should initiate to initiate meetings with the other countries in the Southeast Asia so that they could come up with this code of conduct in the South China Sea or West Philippine Sea. So yun naman and for us lobbying for legislators, I think the Senate and the House of Representatives leadership should also initiate lobbying with the Asian Parliamentary Assembly, even in the Interparliamentary Union, or what we call the IPU, in condemning the active incursion of China in the West Philippine Sea. So what else? So yung increasing cooperation with the ASEAN countries. So those are the peaceful means for us to maybe to resolve or to respect for the China to respect the decision of the tribunal, the Hague Tribunal, on the definition of the territory and the freedom of navigation of the countries in the West Philippine Sea.
Mom, so you suggest that the Philippines should be coordinating and conducting joint patrols with the other neighboring countries that has interests in the South China Sea instead of conducting joint patrols with the U.S. So are you for the bilateral defense guidelines, ma'am?
We know that there is a heightening, strengthening conflict between the U.S. and China, and if we will allow the intervention of the US in aid for our aid, di ba? So that would escalate yung conflict between US and China, and wala naman tayong magagawa, talagang madadamay tayo doon sa hidwaan or doon sa war ng ng US and China. Okay, on economic war or political war, etc. And also the geopolitical. So I think the balikatan, the increasing of EDSA sites, that would provoke more China to to act against the Philippines kapag nangyayari yun.
Ma'am, what do you think the US will gain by involving themselves in the country's dispute with China?
The main the main gain or interest of China in the region is to strengthen, diba? Or to strengthen its imperialist domination in the region. So pinapakita dito ng US na sila yung makapangyarihan, at pinapakita niya ito sa China na makokontrol niya yung region. So I think yun lang naman tsaka yung kanyang neo-liberal policy to be imposed in the region. So the US knows that very strategic itong West Philippine Sea ng kanyang pwedeng pagpwestuhan ng kanyang mga military equipments, materials, vehicles, just in case na magkaroon talaga ng active na invasion ang China against Taiwan. So gusto niyang ipakita yung strength niya doon sa region. So yun lang naman yung tingin ko, no. Tsaka syempre yung matagal niya ng ginagawa sa Philippines din, yung talagang yung control niya doon sa ating economic, yung ating political, our resources, our land. So dun, yun yung gusto niyang ipakita.
Hindi po kayo nag-iisa, no? So marami rin pong grupo ang umaayaw, or they also oppose EDCA sites, pati na rin po yung balikatan exercises with the US. They recently just held one of the biggest balikatan exercises in history. So saying it may provoke China and put the country at risk. So hindi po kayo nag-iisa on that plea, ano? So
yes, kasi itong itong EDCA, EZRAH, kasi itong mga additional EDCA sites, parang ginawa mo ng more than ito pa dun sa US bases in Clark. Kasi mas marami ng bases ngayon ang US, 9 sites dito, no, hindi lang siya iisa. Halimbawa sa Clark lang 'yan, pero different places in the Philippines. So mas malala ito yung US intervention doon sa ating sovereignty and territory. Free pa nga sila sa paggamit nito, etc. So bibigyan lang tayo ng mga lumang mga military equipment, vehicles, obsolete na mga military equipment. So yun lang yung magigain natin dito.
Ma'am, will there be a House inquiry on the bilateral defense guidelines?
Yes, the Makabayan bloc is studying the possibility of filing the House resolution, so that I know that the Senate has the jurisdiction, no, as regards to this to the treaty. However, the people have the right to know, di ba? So it's in the House of Representatives that the people would know ano ba itong secret na secret na guidelines or bilateral guidelines that was entered into by Marcos Jr. during his visit in US with President Biden. So definitely we are studying it, and maybe on next week we will file the House resolution.
Thank you so much for your insights, ma'am. So your stance is to de-escalate the tensions in the West Philippine Sea and the demilitarization of the country. Maraming salamat po, Congresswoman ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro.